Vaheguru, 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 Vaheguru. We know that Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to Mecca, and the best source for this is the writings of Bhai Gurdas Ji, who is a nephew of the third Guru and lives with every Guru from then until the sixth Guru. So he knows Sikh history intimately, and he's actually asked to write this history of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So this is based purely upon Bhai Gurdas Ji's writings. What about his robe? He was carrying a robe, and on that robe there are the writings on there that were Islamic writings, for quotes from the Quran. Now Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when he goes on this, he specifically takes on an appearance which is not Hindu or Muslim. He wants to confuse people, that he doesn't want them to think that they are part of a box and that's who they are. He wants them to say, who are you? And debate with him. If that cloak was so valuable to Guruji, then they would have passed it on to their successor, and that would have been in the Sikh tradition. It wasn't. He gave it away as well. Another part of that is people say, well, he was wearing a turban, that's an Islamic dress. That's not true. When he was traveling, he was wearing a sili topi. A sili topi is a specific kind of cloth, and it is not an Islamic dress, and that's what they wore when they were traveling around. Some people say that how could he have gone there, because at that point you could only get into Mecca if and only if you were a Muslim. This is not true. Back in those days, in the early 1600s, you were able to go into Mecca even if you weren't a Muslim, because they wanted to encourage you to become a Muslim. So the hope was that you would go there, you would see the behavior of the other Hajis, and you would become a Muslim yourself. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji goes to Mecca, he does not go to Medina. An essential part of carrying out the Hajj is going to Mecca and Medina. Guru Nanak Dev Ji does not do that. So he doesn't go on the Hajj, he just goes to Mecca. Obviously for every Muslim it's very important to go on the Hajj, at least once in their lifetime. But is it important to Guru Nanak Dev Ji? He doesn't complete the Hajj. And secondly, not a single Guru after Guru Nanak Dev Ji ever goes to Mecca. If it was important to him that people should go on the Hajj because he's trying to set up something which is a reformist part of Islam, he would have still said to people, go on the Hajj. But he doesn't. He doesn't give any importance to going on the Hajj. Now the very argument that Guru Nanak Dev Ji was a Muslim simply because he went into Mecca is false for one main point, is that Guru Nanak Dev Ji also went to all the Hindu places of worship and the Buddhist places of worship. He went to Sri Lanka, he went to Tibet, he went to Varanasi, Rishikesh. In all these places that they went, they debated with the scholars. Now, taking the argument that we said previously, this would mean that not only was he a Muslim, he was also a Hindu and a Buddhist. That doesn't make any sense, right? So, as far as Guru is concerned, he's going to these places where centers of worship and he debates with people. Now, we all know that when Guru Nanak Dev Ji was at Mecca, he slept with his feet towards the Kaaba. This is the central part of Mecca that everybody bows down to as a Muslim. Why would Guru Nanak Dev Ji, as a Muslim, sleep with his feet towards it? It's sacrilege. Even if they wanted to teach people a lesson, that way would be sacrilegious for a Muslim to do, because everybody's bowing to that spot. Guru Nanak Dev Ji does that, puts his feet towards, and a Qazi comes up to him and he says, who is this unbeliever who is sleeping with his feet towards the home of God? And Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, do you know what, I'm so tired, please move my feet to where God is not. And they pick his feet and they move it, and what happens? Everybody there sees that the whole of the Mecca is moving. Now there's a very important point here. Muslims will say that the Quran is the miracle that Prophet Muhammad brought upon the earth to prove that he was a prophet. So who is Guru Nanak Dev Ji now to spin the whole Mecca around? He should not, as per Islam, that is not allowed. They get asked by the Maulvis and the Qazis there, explain something to us. There's so many different religions. Look inside your book and tell us who is better, a Hindu or a Muslim. Why would they have asked him that if he was carrying the Quran? What's in there that they don't already know? Now, would you have asked that question from somebody who was a Muslim? No. Somebody who is claiming to be a new messenger, somebody who's claiming to have divine knowledge, that's the person you would ask. Obviously, if he was Muslim, he would say, Islam is better. What did Guru Nanak Dev Ji reply to that? They replied that religion itself means nothing. They said it doesn't matter whether somebody's Hindu or a Muslim. They will not get a place in the dargah, the court of the Creator, unless they do good actions. Shubh amla. Would a Muslim say that? For as far as a Muslim is concerned, by them saying the Shahada just once and living the life that Prophet Muhammad gives them, then they would go into heaven because Prophet Muhammad would speak for them. But that's not what Guru Nanak Dev Ji is saying. He's saying it doesn't matter. So he says actually that is kacha rang kusambada. So this religious color that we give ourselves, oh I'm a Muslim, oh I'm a Hindu, Maharaj is saying it's fake. The minute you die, that label you gave yourself is gone. All it matters is the character of the person, what they did and how they lived their life. That's the permanent thing. What they said they were in their religion means nothing. And Sikhi as a religion itself, as we say now, it's a religion, as a way of life, it does not believe in religion. Essentially it's saying that religion doesn't matter, it's how the person lives. So it's a religion that's trying to make you live a certain way and connect to God a certain way. After Guruji goes to Mecca, he then goes to Baghdad. Now what happens here is very interesting. At that point, the famous priest, the famous Muslim priest from that area comes out. Now what happens here is that Guru Nanak Dev Ji and him have a debate. And he is saying that there's 7 heavens and 7 hells. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, no, there's thousands and thousands of these. So therefore, that's directly against an Islamic doctrine. How can Guru Nanak Dev Ji disbelieve in what the Quran is saying about the 7 heavens and 7 hells? He can't do that if he's a Muslim. And obviously the Qazi who he was speaking to was like, well, no, that's not right. And what did Guruji do to prove to that Qazi that he was right and that there were thousands and thousands of heavens? He took the son of that Qazi on a spirit travel. Now that's another verse. He did a miracle which is against Islam, but also he goes off and travels all these places. As a Muslim, he should not have those powers. Yeah, those powers are reserved for the Creator alone. But he goes traveling around all these places with the son of that Ghazi, and then he comes back with prashad from those places, a holy offering. So we can see that here Guru Nanak Dev Ji is committing shirk of Islam straight away.